Trust Radio Network here on AM560 the Answer. I'm joined here today with my co-host Jim Leahy. Our technical producer is Deborah Schreiner, and our guest today is Karen Conti, family lawyer from here in Chicago. And we were talking earlier. She's got a lot of great stories, and one of the great stories that we've talked about. She had represented John Wayne Gacy in his final. Talk about that.
Yeah, along with several other very good lawyers, I represented John Gacy in the last set of his death row appeals. And, you know, when he was being arrested, that was back in the 1970s. I was in high school, and flash ahead all these years, I then get the call to go and represent him. So it was a very interesting experience. I don't believe in the death penalty, so that's the reason I did it. Mm-hmm. And we weren't trying to get him out of jail. We were just trying to get the sentence lifted. We were very unsuccessful.
You've got to make yourself clear on that. I'm not trying to get him out of jail.
Because so many people have, so many people have said that, well, why
would anybody represent John Wayne Gacy?
Yeah, and you know, again, I think one of the things that you have to understand as a lawyer, and Steve, you know this, that you want the tough cases. It's sort of like if you are a runner, you want to run a marathon. If you climb mountains, you want to climb Mount Everest. And this was I would say, a really hard case because even people who believed in the death penalty wanted this guy dead. I mean, he killed 33 young men and boys and buried most of them under his house. I mean, this guy was, if you look up evil, his face was there. So
still is.
Yes, exactly. You know, in fact, I just had a movie guy who's putting together yet another movie, and I literally last week I was interviewed for it. So the story never goes away. It's eternally interesting.
What was he like?
Yeah, he wasn't that interesting.
Yeah, well, yeah,
you know?
I
mean, when you deal with somebody who's that evil, you know, there's antisocial behavior, so they don't really have any true feelings. A lack of affect is what they call it. So he was kind of a nice guy. He was very intelligent. I mean, he was very amiable. I mean, he would talk to you like your favorite uncle. And
when you met him, how long had he been in prison?
I was really getting into that. So he's like your favorite uncle.
He didn't appear to be evil. You think that the fangs would be dripping, right? You're going to look evil in the face, but it's not like that. But if you think about it, if he had acted evil, he would never have gotten away with all of those.
Which kind of makes him more evil than.
Which makes him more evil because it's like
scary.
Because it's underground and it's completely hidden, and people still didn't believe. Even his neighbors at the end still didn't believe he did these things.
Yes.
Can you imagine?
Again, I think that's what makes it even more evil.
Right.
Because if you could pick evil out, then it's not that evil.
Exactly.
You know,
imagine being the neighbor, honey. There's a lot of police cars at the Gacy household today.
I don't understand it.
Oh, I don't know if you remember that, but I remember as a kid, people were taking bets because remember it was like one body, then five bodies, and people were saying, you know, they were making bets on how many were going to eventually be found, and it was terrifying. I mean, it's sort of like. I think back to that time, it seemed like kind of the end of the innocence a little bit because, you know, he was a clown. He was a political figure. He was seen with all the political people. And here was a guy who was doing the most horrendous things all under the cover of night.
He kind of replaced Jack the Ripper. Like, you know, it's like everybody goes, oh, what are you, Jack the Ripper? It's like, you know, when I was young, the rich guy was Howard Hughes. What are you, rich like Howard Hughes? Now he's been replaced. Kind of same thing with Gacy. It's like, who, you know, evil like Gacy?
Yes.
How, as I asked you, how long had he been in prison when you met him?
He was probably about in there about 17 years.
Oh, it's a long time.
Long time. Yeah. He was in there a long time. Yeah. It takes that long for these death penalty cases to get through the system.
And again, by the time you were talking with him, wasn't this Jeffrey Dahmer stuff going up in Milwaukee? Was that around that same time?
Actually, maybe it was 4 years before I got the call. So Dahmer had already been in jail for a while.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I always, again, I tell people this story just how. Jeffrey Dahmer's too hardcore for John Wayne Gacy.
I said to him, you know, what do you think about the what do you call it, the insanity defense? Because that's what he lodged, is the insanity defense. And I said, what do you think, John? I mean, you know, why didn't he goes, you know what, there's Jeffrey Dahmer. Now, I don't know Jeff. He said, I don't know Jeff, but here's a guy who wakes up in the morning, there's a dead body that he's eaten half of it. And if he didn't get the insanity defense, then who would? I hate to run into the guy who would. And there's John Gacy telling me what he thought about The insanity defense.
That's so funny again.
Which is
because-
kind of true, actually.
Yeah, it is.
You know, that's why it's so creepy.
agree
Is
with that.
because, I mean, if that guy's not insane, like, who is?
Now in Illinois, we don't have the death penalty anymore.
We do not.
We still have it, but it's been. Is that the?
We don't have it anymore.
Okay, so I thought we did what they just had suspended.
No,
it.
it's gone and done. It was abolished, and I don't know that the world is any safer or less safe because of it.
I didn't know that.
It's very expensive to implement with everything you have to do for a death penalty case. It really is a huge expense. And strangely, and people don't believe me, but this is true, it's actually cheaper to put someone in jail the rest of their life than to execute them.
Really?
When it comes to all of the appeals that they get, all of the segregation they have, all of the things that go into it.